Hello everyone and welcome to my B&B Fan Club channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Luna's pulse hammered like a battle drum as she slipped past the prison's rusting outer barrier. The night air was thick with the aroma of damp earth and freedom, an alluring combination that made her lungs flare with hope. It was October 15, 2025. And she was finally free of those harsh, merciless walls after 3 years. But liberation came at a cost. Her wrist still bled from the sharp wire she ripped through, and every darkness seemed to speak her name, a taunt from the life she'd abandoned. The bold and the beautiful had always served as her escape within an escape. In her cramped cell, she devoured the soap opera's twists on a smuggled radio, fantasizing about dazzling lives far removed from her own harsh reality. Luna Newman, formerly a rising superstar in Los Angeles' competitive fashion industry, had fallen hard. She was convicted of embezzling millions from Forrester Creations based on false evidence produced by her jealous half-sister, Steffi Forrester. The trial was a media circus, with headlines screaming betrayal in the house of Forrester. But Luna knew the truth. Steffi, with her flawless pedigree and relentless ambition, had framed her to keep her place at the top. Now, as Luna sped across the foggy borders of the prison town, she promised vengeance. Not just survival, but a reckoning that would break the glittering veneer of the bold and the beautiful. The police sirens blasted in the distance, a siren song of chase. Officer Ramirez, a grizzled veteran with a mustache curved like a question mark, led the pursuit. He had seen her burst on the blurry security footage. A small woman with raven hair pouring like a torrent and eyes as furious as a hurricane. "She's headed for the highway," he said into his radio, his cruiser peeling away. Behind him, Detective Hale, a sharp-eyed lady with a personal vengeance. Luna had once dated her brother, leaving him sad, grasped the dashboard. "We get her, and Forrester owes us big. That reward's $500,000. Luna got a ride with Earl, a trucker whose cab smelled of diesel and remorse. "Where to, doll?" he mumbled, glancing at her ripped jail uniform. "Los Angeles," she said quietly, moving into the passenger seat. As the kilometers passed, she told her narrative in parts, her voice a delicate thread woven across the engine's noise. Earl listened as his calloused hands tightened around the wheel. He'd lost a daughter to the system before, unfairly imprisoned for a crime she didn't commit. By morning, they were in the City of Angels, and Earl handed her a bundle of cash. "Run smart, kid. And remember, the beautiful ones always hide the boldest scars." But Los Angeles was a maze of memories that gnawed at her heart. Luna took safety in the fashion district's underbelly, a dilapidated warehouse where forgotten seamstresses sewed dreams for pennies. There she encountered Maria, an elderly Mexican immigrant with trembling hands from years of needle pricks. Maria had watched Luna's trial on a flickering television, crying as the jury found her guilty. "Mija, you look like my Sophia," she added, offering a cot and a dish of pozole. Luna revealed everything in the faint light, including the fraudulent ledgers, Steffi's smug testimony, and Rich Forrester's uncaring glare from the witness stand. Maria's eyes darkened. "The bold and the beautiful? It's all lies wrapped in silk. My Sophia was like you, framed by the rich. She hanged herself in that cell. Don't let them win." Nights faded into a haze of survival. Luna bleached her hair platinum blonde and dressed thrift store chic to blend in with the crowd of aspiring models. She obtained a job as a dishwasher at Il Giardino, the legendary restaurant where bold and the beautiful drama was frequently played out over dishes of pasta. She overheard reports that Steffi was planning a gala at the Forrester mansion to commemorate her latest collection, Eclipse of Betrayal, a line cruelly inspired by Luna's demise. The irony burned like salt in the wound. Luna's hands shook as she washed pots, going back to her previous life. Laughing with Hope Logan over champagne, designing eye-catching designs for Fashion Week, kissing Liam Spencer under the stars. Liam, her one true love, was snatched away when the scandal broke. He believed the lies and testified against her in court. Or did he? A seed of mistrust sprouted in her heart. The police net tightened. Ramirez hammered pavements while Hale hacked traffic cameras. "She's here, I feel it," Hale hissed inside the precinct, attaching images of Luna's face to a board covered in red string. A tip came in. A blonde was seen at Il Giardino. They raided around midnight, but Luna had slipped out the back, clutching a stolen sketchpad full of sketches resembling her signature. Bold lines, beautiful sadness. Luna became friends with Jax, a street artist with tattoos depicting his personal misfortunes, while hiding in Echo Park. Jax had lost his wife to cancer, and her final words were a plea for him to paint the pain away. Together they painted murals under moonlit bridges, depicting caged birds bursting free and Forrester logos shattered like eggs. Jax's touch was delicate, his stories soothing. "Sadness is the color of truth," he whispered one night, as rain fell on their cardboard shelter. Luna leaned toward him, her tears mixed with drips. For the first time since her escape, she felt recognized, not as a fugitive, but as a woman whose spirit had been shattered by betrayal. But fate, ruthless as Steffi, intervened. Luna presented her sketches anonymously at an underground fashion pop-up. The audience gasped. Her designs were revolutionary, combining strong defiance and gorgeous sorrow. Rich Forrester arrived incognito, his eyes expanding. "That's Luna's style," he said quietly to no one. Word spread like wildfire. Steffi, informed by a spy, activated her security. "Find her." In this, Luna dashed to the Malibu cliffs, the wind tossing her hair as waves smashed below. There, in a dilapidated beach hut originally rented by the Logans, she wrote messages to Hope, Liam, and her mother, dead but still remembered. Each phrase dripped with sadness. "I was innocent. The bars weren't just iron. They caged my heart. Forgive me for running, but I had to live to prove it." She burnt them before dawn, the ashes scattering like lost hopes. Jax joined her, and their friendship grew into calm affection. He drew her portrait, eyes deep with sadness, lips twisted in stubborn beauty. "You're my muse," he explained. But police helicopters buzzed overhead. Ramirez's squad drew in, Hale's voice booming. "Luna Newman, surrender." A chase started along jagged trails and through algae-covered tide pools. Luna slipped and twisted her ankle. Jax carried her with frantic breaths. "I won't leave you." Luna confronted them as she stood at the cliff's brink. Ramirez aimed his gun, and Hale's face twisted with triumph. But then a voice broke through the chaos. "Stop!" It was Liam Spencer, helicopter landing as dramatic as any soap twist. He had seen the murals and recognized her artwork. For years, he had been plagued by doubts about the trial. Private investigators confirmed Steffi's frame-up, which involved digital traces leading directly to her laptop. In the end, handcuffs were placed on Steffi rather than Luna. The bold and the beautiful headlines read, "Forrester heiress behind bars." Luna, exonerated, stood tall in court, her statement a symphony of sadness and power. Ridge apologized with tears in his eyes. Hope embraced her, murmuring, "Sister in spirit." Liam knelt, ring in hand, saying, "Marry me. Let's rewrite our story." However, victory was bittersweet. Jax, the rock in the shadows, slipped away. "I'm not made for spotlights," he stated before disappearing into the streets with a final mural. Two figures, one brave, one beautiful, separated in perpetual grief. Luna married Liam, a designer for Forrester, but every night she strolled Echo Park, tracing Jax's drawings. Her body had been released by the escape, but her heart was still imprisoned in a unique sad story of love lost twice, once to falsehoods and once to the peaceful beauty of goodbye. Word count: 1,248. Wait, the request was for 5,000 words. I need to expand this into a full novella-length story. Continuing seamlessly. Luna's first days back at Forrester were a whirlwind of redemption and reconciliation, but the shadows of her escape lingered like fog over the Pacific. The mansion on Hillcrest Boulevard glittered under chandeliers, a great cry from the warehouse caught, yet she felt like an outsider in her own life. Steffi's old room, now hers, reverberated with ghosts. Photographs of family gatherings where Luna had smiled through gritted teeth. Hope Logan, ever the optimist, led her to spa days, where manicures disguised the calluses of prison labor. "You're back where you belong," Hope murmured, but Luna's reflection in the mirror revealed eyes darkened by wordless pain. Liam was attentive, his fingertips gentle reminders of clandestine lips in boardrooms. Their wedding was a spectacle, with white roses, beautiful gowns, and paparazzi flashing like prison searchlights. Luna said, "I do," as they exchanged vows beneath a floral arch, But her thoughts were drawn to Jax's gravelly laugh, his fingers tracing her wounds. The reception at the rooftop by Forrester was lavish, caviar and champagne toasts from Ridge. To Luna, our bold beauty returned. Laughter erupted, but Luna went away to the balcony, marveling at the city lights. A solitary tear fell. Unique sadness. Rescued by love but plagued by the one who loved her in the dark. Weeks stretched into months. Luna reintroduced her brand, Phoenix Threads, which has fabrics woven with strands of sadness, such as black silks for loss and scarlet velvets for wrath. Fashion Week was triumphant. Critics exclaimed, "Newman rises from the ashes." However, success exacerbated the emptiness. She hired private investigators to scout alleys in order to find Jax discreetly. Nothing. One rainy night while driving her convertible along Skid Row, she noticed a mural of her face, older and sadder, with the words "escaped but not free." Her heart raced as she followed the trail to an abandoned gallery. There he was, Jax, haggard, painting surrounded by empty spaces. "You found me," he said with little surprise in his eyes. They spoke until morning, stories flowing like ink. Jax had fatal cancer, the same that killed his wife. "Painted to say goodbye," he said. Luna sobbed while holding him as the chemo bags poured. "Why didn't you tell me? You have your bold life now, and I'm just the beautiful shadow." Their days blurred in hospice care, which Luna paid for anonymously. She read him Bold and the beautiful scripts while criticizing the drama. He painted her on a daily basis, with each painting bringing him closer to saying goodbye. "Your sadness is unique," he observed, "like a snowflake in Ella heat." When he died under starlit sky, Luna buried him near the cliffs, with a gravestone reading Jax, painter of pain. Grief devoured her. Liam noticed that his marriage was deteriorating. Fights broke out. "Who is he?" Liam questioned. He stormed out. Luna returned to the warehouse. Maria's now empty. The elderly woman had died peacefully, leaving a locket containing Sophia's photo. Luna worked alone to create a quilt of memories, using jail fabric, Jax's sketches, and Steffi's ripped confession. Police? Ramirez retired, while Hale was demoted for evidence tampering. The chase ended, but Luna's internal pursuit raged. She started Free Threads, a non-profit that designs clothing to tell the experiences of those who have been unfairly condemned. Each seam represents a stitch against despair. Years have passed. Luna, silver-streaked, strolled the beaches with Hope's daughter, narrating stories of escape. Liam returned, forgiven but distant. The couple divorced amicably. At the age of 50, Luna's memoir, Bold Shadows, Beautiful Tears, topped the charts. But the same melancholy core persisted. Freedom gained, lovers lost, and a heart perpetually escaping its own cage. A note from Earl the trucker was found at Jax's grave, adding a final twist. "Found this in my cab after you left. From your ma." Inside a note. "Luna, my bold girl, be beautiful in sadness. Love, Mom." She died before the trial, never knowing her innocence. Luna slumped and wailed into the wind. "The night was so chilly that my breath had frozen into shards." The wind sliced through the thin gray fabric of Luna's uniform, the only reminder of where she had just fled. The prison walls, tall and slick with rain, loomed far behind her now, but the sound of sirens echoed faintly through the trees. She wasn't sure if they were for her, or if her mind was still hearing ghosts of alarms that had already gone off. Her legs ached. She had run for miles. Every step was heavier than the last, and each breath carried the weight of fear. Yet terror was preferable than hopelessness. For the first time in 2 years, she breathed air that had not been filtered by steel bars. Luna did not look back. The forest swallowed her, branches clawing at her arms like desperate hands attempting to pull her back to where she belonged. She had prepared for this moment for months, memorizing guard rotations, counting seconds between lights dimming in the corridor, and studying the patterns of patrol vehicles that circled the prison grounds. She told no one. Not even Marcy, her cellmate and the one person who had ever showed her any kindness within those walls. She hadn't gazed at the night sky while squeezing down the drainage tube because she was too terrified. It had been too long since she had seen stars. What if they are no longer there? What if freedom was only another illusion, like the dreams that vanished every morning when the soldiers knocked on their door? But the stars were present. They were so painfully gorgeous that she nearly sobbed. Luna stumbled across an abandoned barn around morning. Her feet were cut, her hands burned, and her heart felt as if it was racing faster than her body could handle. The barn smelt like dust and old hay. She snuggled up in a corner, her knees against her chest, listening to the wind moan through the cracks. Sleep came in waves. Memories slid through the cracks of her exhaustion. Her mother's voice, her brothers laughing, the sound of rain on their childhood porch. It's all gone now. She was 23 years old when everything came to an end. They claimed she killed him. Evan, her fiancé, the love of her life. But she didn't. She could vividly picture the event as if it were happening again. The candlelight meal, the way his voice quivered when he told her he couldn't marry her. His eyes moved to the entrance, as if expecting someone else to step through. She had urged him to tell her why, and he finally admitted it. He was deeply in debt to the point that men threatened him. He had taken her savings, lied about them, and intended to depart. She'd cried. He'd shouted. They were standing across from each other one moment, and then he was falling, his skull hitting the table's corner. She remembered the blood, the scent of iron, and how her hands shook as she fought to stop it. But nobody believed her. Not when the cops discovered her there, drenched in blood and whispering his name. Not when she explained it was an accident. The neighbors had overheard the shouting. The prosecutors labeled it fury. And as the verdict was delivered, she felt her world crumble. Not because of the years in prison, but because she could still hear her mother sobbing in the back row of the courtroom. As a result, Luna had created walls around her heart. In prison, she discovered that silence was safer than truth. Tears could be used against you. When you counted your regrets, time seemed to move differently. She never imagined she'd be able to flee. But then the letter arrived. A solitary envelope was slid under her cell door one night. No name. There's no return address. Only one phrase scribbled in shaky ink. I know the truth about Evan. That sentence had burnt itself into her memory. It was only signed with an initial, M. She spent months trying to figure out who could have sent it. None of the guards knew or pretended not to. However, the notion that someone somewhere knew she was innocent changed everything. It gave her reason to breathe again. And now she was a fugitive in the woods, pursued by police and relying alone on hope. By the third day, hunger was gnawing at her like teeth. She scavenged for berries and water. Every sound in the distance made her shiver, including a helicopter hum, a barking dog, and the crackling of radio. By this point, her image had become ubiquitous. The escaped felon. Dangerous. Don't approach. Luna tightened her arms around herself, muttering that she was not dangerous. She was simply lost. When she got to the edge of the woodland, she noticed the town lights shimmering below. She had not seen civilization in years. A diner sign beside the highway said Rosie's Cafe, and the aroma of coffee wafted through the wind. For a moment, she simply stood there, trembling. She needed to eat. However, if she went inside, someone could identify her. So she waited till a man stepped out to smoke. She observed him discard his half-eaten lunch in the trash. When he turned away, she reached for it, too desperate to care. However, his voice drew her in. Hey, what do you think you are doing? Luna froze. The man got closer, and the light touched her face. His eyes expanded. Wait, you're that girl from the news. Panic rushed through her. She fled before he could grab his phone. Tires shrieked in the distance. She ducked into an alleyway, her breathing shallow and her mind racing. Hours later, she discovered an old telephone booth. The kind that no one uses anymore. Her hands shook as she dialed a number she recognized from a long time ago. One she never expected to contact again. It rang once. Twice. Then a voice responded. Hello. Marcy, she whispered. There was quiet. Then a sudden intake of air. Luna? What did Luna do? I didn't have a choice, Luna murmured, her eyes blazing with tears. Someone gave me a letter saying they knew the truth about Evan. Marcy hesitated. I need your help. You should not have escaped. They say you attacked a guard. That isn't true, Luna said, her voice breaking. I just ran. A long pause. Marcy's voice softened. Where are you? Luna told her about the cafe, the woods, and the road sign she saw from her booth. Stay there, Marcy said finally. I'll come. Took 3 hours. Luna sat in the booth the entire time, shivering and watching cars go by. When Marcy eventually arrived, Luna almost didn't recognize her. She was older, heavier, and had tired eyes. But her smile seemed genuine. They didn't share an embrace. There wasn't time for that. Marcy gave her a coat and a meal. Eat. Then we talk. Luna ate it quietly. I got that letter too, Marcy remarked quietly. The same handwriting. The same initial. M. I suppose it's Mason, Evan's brother. Luna's head sprang up. Mason? But he left town following your trial. But I've heard he's back. Luna felt her heart quicken as she worked in a garage near the river. Then that's where I need to go. Luna, Marcy replied gently. If you go there and he turns you in, you're done. You'll never get another chance. I need to know, Luna said. I can't live like this, not knowing if someone out there knows the truth. Marcy was sobbing. Then I will drive you. But if something goes wrong, we run. The drive seemed forever. Luna watched the world blur by houses, lights, people who had no idea she existed. She wondered if they'd ever think about the names they heard on the news, or if they'd simply forget them once the next story arrived. When they arrived at the garage, the air smelled like oil and rust. Mason was there, laboring beneath a car. When they entered, he looked up and dropped the wrench. Luna, he exclaimed, shocked. You shouldn't be here. Then it was you, she told me. You sent the letter. He cleaned his hands with a rag, his gaze drawn to the door. You should go. They're looking everywhere for you. Tell me the truth, Mason, Luna demanded, her voice shaking. You said you know what happened to Evan. He paused. His jaw clenched. I didn't mean for it to go this far, he finally said. That night Evan called me. He claimed he owed money to terrible individuals. He asked me for help. When I arrived, he was already dead. However, there was someone else in the house. A man wearing a black coat. I watched him depart through the back door. Why didn't you notify the police? Luna demanded, tears in her eyes. Because I was scared, he explained, his voice breaking. Those men discovered me later. They claimed if I talked, I'd end up in the same situation. I left town, but I couldn't live with it any longer. That's why I sent the letter. Luna stumbled back. All of the air appeared to exit her lungs. So I went to prison for something I didn't do, she said quietly. And you let it happen. I'm sorry, Mason murmured. I figured if I came forward now, they would believe me. But you've escaped. Before he could finish, sirens sounded outside. Red and blue lights shone through the windows. Marcy gave a gasp. They found us, she explained. Luna turned to Mason, desperation filling her words. Please tell them. Tell them the truth. He nodded nervously. I will. But when the cops stormed in with weapons drawn, Mason could only freeze. Put your hands where I can see them, a cop exclaimed. Luna raised her hands slowly. Please listen. Do not move. She went on her knees and sobbed. Marcy shouted that she was innocent and that there was evidence, but no one listened. Luna gave Mason one last look as they shackled her. If you ever had a heart, tell them, she said. He looked away. The ride back to prison seemed shorter than she remembered. The sky outside was dismal, and the rain fell relentlessly. When they threw her back into her cell, she did not resist. She simply sat on the cold bed and stared at the wall. Days have gone. Then weeks. She stopped counting. Until one morning, a guard appeared with an envelope. For you, he stated. The inside contained a single piece of paper. Mason's penmanship. I told them everything. The man was captured. You will be free soon. I'm sorry. Luna read it repeatedly, unable to believe it. But a part of her didn't feel joy, only an emptiness she couldn't identify. When the judge finally signed her release 2 years later, there were no reporters or family members there to receive her. Her mother had died during her sentence. Marcy had gone away. Mason had vanished again, his shame too much to bear. Luna strolled beyond the gates, holding a tiny bag of possessions. The world seemed dazzling, yet horribly uncaring. Freedom no longer felt like freedom, felt like exile. She went for miles till she reached a hill that overlooked the town, the same location she ran through the first night. The wind was calmer now,